There is a quiet kind of power in this world that does not shout, does not argue, and does not beg to be seen. It stands still while storms rage. It listens while others rush to speak, and it grows stronger in the spaces where noise cannot survive. We have been taught that confidence is loud, that it must announce itself to be real. But true confidence does not tremble in silence. It is built there. It is shaped in the moments when you choose dignity over drama, patience over pride, and wisdom over winning every argument. Tonight, I want to speak to the strength that rises when you learn to guard your words, to honor your peace, and to let your silence say what your tongue does not need to prove. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom waiting to speak. In a world that rewards the fastest reply and the loudest voice, choosing silence can feel like surrender. But it is not surrender, it is self-command. It is the steady breath before the mountain answers the echo. When you refuse to be pulled into every argument, when you decline the invitation to prove your worth to those who have already decided not to see it, you are not shrinking. You are standing in a strength so rooted that it does not need applause. There is a difference between being silent because you are afraid and being silent because you are aware. Fearful silence trembles. Wise silence observes. It listens beyond the words being spoken and hears the intentions beneath them. It recognizes when a conversation is not a bridge, but a trap. And in that recognition, it chooses dignity over noise. It understands that not every battle deserves your breath, and not every misunderstanding deserves your explanation. Confidence is not measured by how quickly you respond. It is revealed by how calmly you decide whether a response is necessary at all. The confident soul knows that reacting in haste often hands power to the very thing that seeks to disturb it. But silence, measured, intentional silence, returns that power to its rightful owner. It allows you to think before you speak, to feel without being ruled by feeling, to act with clarity instead of impulse. There will be moments when people mistake your silence for inability. Let them. There will be times when they interpret your quiet as defeat. Let them. For what they do not see is the discipline it takes to hold your tongue when anger rises, the maturity it takes to walk away when pride demands the last word. Silence in those moments is not empty. It is filled with restraint, with awareness, with self-respect. When you learn to be comfortable in silence, you begin to hear yourself more clearly. You discover your true thoughts beneath the pressure of others' opinions. You become less desperate for validation and more anchored in your own understanding. And from that place, when you finally choose to speak, your words carry weight. They are not scattered carelessly into the wind. They are deliberate, thoughtful, and firm. Wisdom does not rush. It waits. It watches. It gathers truth before it gives voice to it. And when it finally speaks, it does so with a calm authority that cannot be shaken. That is the power of silence. It prepares you. It strengthens you. It reminds you that you do not have to attend every argument you are invited to, nor answer every accusation thrown your way. So let your silence be intentional. Let it be a shield when necessary, and a sanctuary when the world grows loud. Know that your quiet moments are not signs of weakness, but evidence of depth. Because when wisdom has finished listening, when understanding has taken root, when your spirit is steady and clear, then you may speak. And when you do, your voice will not need to shout to be heard. Not every opinion deserves your energy. There will always be voices, some loud, some subtle, telling you who you should be, how you should live, what you should chase, and what you should abandon. If you try to answer them all, you will spend your life exhausted, stretched thin by the weight of other people's expectations. Confidence is not built by responding to every voice. It is built by discerning which ones matter. You must understand that opinions are often reflections, not revelations. They reflect someone's fears, limitations, upbringing, and unhealed wounds. When a person doubts your dream, They may simply be confessing their own surrender. When they criticize your path, they may be revealing the road they were too afraid to walk. If you carry every opinion as truth, you will begin to shrink to fit the comfort of others, and you were not born to live that small. There is a sacredness to your energy. It wakes you in the morning. It fuels your ideas. It sustains your hope when the world feels heavy. To spend that energy arguing with every critic is to pour clean water into cracked cups. You cannot afford that loss. Confidence requires conservation. It asks you to guard your spirit carefully, to decide that your peace is too precious to be negotiated. This does not mean you close your ears to wisdom. It means you learn to distinguish wisdom from noise. Wise counsel feels steady even when it challenges you. It seeks your growth, not your embarrassment. But noise is restless. It demands your attention without offering your progress. And when you recognize the difference, you begin to respond less and observe more. There will be moments when someone questions your abilities. You may feel the urge to defend yourself, to present proof, to lay your accomplishments at their feet like offerings. Pause. Ask yourself, does this person truly have the authority to define me? If not, release their words like dust shaken from your shoulders. You do not need to perform confidence for those committed to misunderstanding you. Remember, too, that constant defense can quietly turn into self-doubt. The more you argue your worth, the more you begin to wonder if it is truly secure. But when you stand firm without explanation, you send a message, not only to others, but to yourself, that your identity is not up for debate. That quiet assurance strengthens you from within. Your journey is not a public vote, it is a personal calling. Some will approve, some will not. But their approval is not the measure of your destiny. The oak tree does not ask the wind for permission to grow, it simply roots deeper and reaches higher. In the same way, you must learn to root yourself in your purpose so deeply that passing opinions cannot uproot you. So choose carefully where your energy flows. Let it nourish your dreams, your healing, your discipline, your joy. Withdraw it from petty disputes and empty criticism. In doing so, you will find that confidence no longer feels forced. It becomes natural, steady, and resilient. Because when you stop giving your energy to every opinion, you finally have enough strength to become exactly who you were meant to be. Protect your dreams by protecting your mouth. There are visions placed inside you that are still tender, still forming, still learning how to breathe. Not every dream is ready for daylight. Some are like seeds beneath the soil, and if you dig them up too soon, just to prove they are growing, you interrupt the very process that would have made them strong. Silence in this season is not secrecy born of fear. It is protection born of wisdom. When you speak your dreams to everyone, you expose them to every doubt, every careless laugh, every projection of limitation. And though you may believe you are strong enough to withstand it, words have a way of lingering. A raised eyebrow can echo in your mind at midnight. A sarcastic comment can water seeds of hesitation. Before you know it, you are questioning something that once felt clear and certain. This is why not every vision requires an audience. There is power in quiet preparation. When you move in silence, you give yourself space to build without distraction. You allow your discipline to grow roots deeper than applause. You learn to work without the addiction of validation. Because sometimes, when we announce our goals too quickly, we receive praise for beginnings rather than results. And that praise can trick us into feeling accomplished before we have truly done the work. Silence keeps you focused. It keeps your dreams sacred. It teaches you to rely on your own belief instead of borrowing confidence from others. When no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even knows what you are building, that is when your commitment is tested and strengthened. That is when your dream becomes yours in the truest sense. This does not mean you walk alone in pride. There is wisdom in sharing your vision with those who are trustworthy, those who pray over your growth, those who correct you with love and encourage you with sincerity. But be selective. A dream shared with the wrong ears can become a burden instead of a blessing. Choose listeners who see possibility where others see impossibility. Understand that silence also sharpens execution. The less you talk about what you are going to do, the more energy you have to actually do it. Words are powerful, but they can also become substitutes for action. Protecting your mouth means guarding against the temptation to speak more than you build. Let your actions develop quietly, consistently, faithfully. And then, one day, when the work has matured and the vision has taken form, you will not need a grand announcement. Your results will speak. They will tell the story of nights spent refining, of setbacks faced without complaint, of perseverance practiced in private. People may call it sudden success, but you will know it was silent dedication. So hold your dreams close while they are growing. Nurture them with effort, with patience, with unwavering belief. Let silence be the covering that shields them from unnecessary doubt. Because when you protect your mouth, you protect your momentum. And when the time is right, your dream will not whisper. It will stand tall, undeniable, and strong. Respond, don't react. Let silence mature your emotions. There is a space between what happens to you and what you choose to do about it. In that space lives your power. Reaction is quick, impulsive, and often loud. It rises like a spark in dry grass, sudden and consuming. But a response is different. A response is measured. It has listened to the heartbeat beneath the hurt. It has allowed the first wave of feeling to pass before deciding what deserves to remain. When someone wounds you with words, your first instinct may be to wound them back. When you are misunderstood, you may feel the urgency to correct, to defend, to prove. But confidence does not rush to the battlefield at every provocation. It pauses, it breathes. It understands that emotions, while valid, are not always wise leaders. Silence in those moments is not suppression, it is stewardship. It is choosing to manage your emotions rather than letting them manage you. There is strength in the pause, a deep strength, the kind that refuses to be controlled by another person's tone, mood, or immaturity. When you react, you hand over authority. You allow someone else's behavior to dictate your own. But when you respond, you reclaim ownership of yourself. You decide that your character will not be rewritten by someone else's chaos. Silence gives your feelings time to settle into truth. Anger may feel justified in the first moment, but after reflection, you may discover it was hurt. Hurt may feel overwhelming at first, but with quiet consideration, you may find it was simply disappointment. When you allow silence to do its work, emotions that once seemed explosive become understandable, manageable, even instructive. They begin to teach you rather than control you. This does not mean you ignore injustice or swallow your voice when it is needed. It means you speak from clarity, not from combustion. Words spoken in haste often build regret. Words spoken after reflection build respect. When you respond instead of react, your voice carries steadiness. It carries intention. It carries weight. You will notice something else too. The more you practice this discipline, the less easily disturbed you become. Situations that once would have stolen your peace will no longer have the same access. You will develop an inner calm that cannot be shaken by every shifting wind. People may test you, provoke you, misunderstand you, but they will not own you. And perhaps the greatest gift of all is this: when you respond instead of react, you begin to trust yourself. You see that you are capable of restraint. You see that you can feel deeply without acting recklessly. That trust builds confidence from the inside out. It reminds you that you are not a prisoner of impulse, but a master of choice. So when emotions rise, let silence sit with them. Let it ask questions. Let it cool the heat and clarify the truth. Then when you speak, let your words be deliberate and dignified. Because confidence is not proven in how loudly you react, but in how wisely you respond. Silence is the language of self-respect. It is the quiet boundary you draw when you decide that your peace is no longer negotiable. There comes a moment in every life when you realize that constantly explaining yourself, defending yourself, and shrinking yourself for the comfort of others is a slow erosion of your dignity. And in that realization, something shifts. You begin to understand that not every confrontation requires your participation, and not every insult deserves your reply. Self-respect does not beg to be recognized. It does not chase approval. It stands calm and assured, knowing its worth without needing to announce it. When you choose silence in the face of disrespect, you are not accepting poor treatment. You are refusing to lower yourself to meet it. You are saying without a single word that your value is not determined by someone else's misunderstanding. There is a certain grace in walking away from what diminishes you. Arguments that circle without resolution, conversations that drip with sarcasm, relationships that feed on drama, these are places where self-respect quietly gathers its things and leaves, not in bitterness, not in pride, but in clarity, because you have learned that staying where you are constantly belittled is not loyalty, it is self-betrayal. Silence becomes your shield. It protects you from being pulled into pettiness. It guards your character from being stained by reactions you would later regret. When someone attempts to provoke you, to drag you into their storm, your refusal to engage is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is maturity choosing dignity over the fleeting satisfaction of winning an argument. There will be those who interpret your silence as indifference. Let them. Self-respect is not about managing other people's perceptions. It is about honoring your own standards. You do not owe everyone access to your thoughts, your explanations, or your emotional labor. Some people have not earned the intimacy of your response, and understanding that is a powerful act of self-awareness. In silence, you also begin to hear the subtle voice within you that says, "I deserve better." That voice grows louder each time you refuse to entertain disrespect. It grows stronger each time you decline to argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you. Over time, that inner voice becomes unshakable. It becomes the foundation of your confidence. Self-respect also teaches restraint in moments of pride. It reminds you that proving someone wrong is far less important than staying true to who you are. It whispers that your integrity matters more than your ego, and so you choose your words carefully. Sometimes you choose not to use them at all. When you master this kind of silence, you carry yourself differently. You no longer feel compelled to respond to every slight or rumor. You move with quiet assurance. Your presence speaks before you do. And when you finally decide that something must be said, your words carry the authority of someone who does not speak carelessly. Silence, then, is not emptiness. It is a declaration. It says, "I know my worth." It says, "I will not argue my value." It says, "I respect myself too much to engage in what diminishes me." And in that quiet declaration, confidence finds a home and stands tall. Let your results make the loudest noise. In a world that constantly urges you to announce, to broadcast, to declare every intention before it has taken shape, there is something profoundly powerful about quiet achievement. Talking about what you will do can feel satisfying, but it is the doing, the consistent, disciplined, unseen labor that transforms intention into impact. Confidence does not rely on promises. It is built on proof. There is a temptation to defend your potential with words, to explain your plans in detail so others will believe in you, to outline your vision so thoroughly that no one can question your capability. But the truth is, explanations rarely silence doubt. Results do. When your work begins to speak for itself, arguments become unnecessary. Success answers questions that words never could. Quiet work requires patience. It requires faith in a process that may not yield immediate applause. You must be willing to labor in obscurity, to refine your craft when no one is watching, to endure the silence of seasons where growth is happening beneath the surface. This kind of discipline strengthens your character. It teaches you to value substance over spectacle. There will be people who underestimate you because they cannot see what you are building. Let them. There will be moments when your progress feels invisible, when it seems as though your effort is unnoticed. Keep working. The oak tree does not rush its growth to satisfy impatient observers. It deepens its roots first. In the same way, your foundation must be strengthened before your success becomes visible. When you allow results to speak, you free yourself from the exhausting need to convince. You no longer feel pressured to argue your worth or advertise your every move. Your energy is redirected toward improvement, toward mastery, toward excellence. And over time, excellence becomes undeniable. It carries a quiet authority that demands respect without demanding attention. Results also protect your humility. When you speak less about what you intend to do and focus more on what you have done, you remain grounded. You recognize that growth is continuous, that there is always more to learn. Confidence rooted in achievement is steady, not arrogant. It does not need to boast because it is secure. There is something deeply satisfying about surprising the world with your consistency, about allowing people to discover your progress rather than announcing it prematurely. It shifts the narrative. Instead of being known for your promises, you are known for your performance. Instead of being recognized for ambition alone, you are recognized for execution. And when your results finally make their presence known, they carry weight. They reflect hours of discipline, moments of doubt conquered, and perseverance chosen again and again. That kind of success cannot be dismissed easily. It stands firm because it was built quietly and carefully. So speak less of what you plan and invest more in what you practice. Let your dedication be louder than your declarations. Let your improvement be more visible than your intentions. In time, your work will create a sound that no criticism can drown out. And when it does, you will not need to raise your voice at all. Do not argue with small minds. Elevate above them. There will always be those who are committed not to understanding, but to winning. They do not enter conversations to exchange truth. They enter to defend their limitations. And if you are not careful, you will find yourself shrinking to fit the narrow space of their thinking, bending your clarity to wrestle with their confusion. A small mind is not defined by education or status. It is defined by rigidity. It is the refusal to consider another perspective, the habit of mocking what it cannot comprehend, the comfort found in belittling what dares to grow. When you argue with such a mindset, you are not engaging in dialogue. You are stepping into a cage. And no matter how intelligent you are, once you are inside that cage, you are confined to its boundaries. Confidence recognizes when a conversation has reached its limit. It senses when words are being twisted rather than weighed. It understands that some people are more invested in being right than in discovering what is right. In those moments, elevation becomes your greatest strategy. Not elevation rooted in arrogance, but elevation grounded in awareness. You must ask yourself, what is the cost of this argument? Will it build me or will it drain me? Will it expand understanding or simply feed ego? There is a difference between standing for your truth and entangling yourself in endless debate. The first strengthens your character. The second exhausts your spirit. Elevation does not mean silence in the face of injustice. It means discernment in the face of foolishness. It means choosing platforms that foster growth instead of chaos. It means recognizing that your peace is too valuable to be traded for the temporary satisfaction of proving someone wrong. There is a quiet dignity in refusing to descend. When someone attempts to provoke you with insults or narrow thinking, your calm withdrawal speaks volumes. It says that you are not threatened. It says that your identity is not fragile. It says that you do not need to dismantle another person to validate yourself. Over time, you will notice that the higher you rise in thought and discipline, the fewer arguments you are invited into, not because criticism disappears, but because your energy no longer entertains it. You become selective. You engage where growth is possible. You disengage where it is not. And perhaps the most powerful truth is this: when you elevate, you protect your focus. Instead of circling in arguments that lead nowhere, you invest your time in building, learning, creating. You allow your progress to be your answer. You allow your composure to be your statement. So when confronted with small thinking, do not shrink, do not wrestle. Rise, rise in maturity, rise in restraint, rise in purpose. Because confidence is not proven by how fiercely you argue, but by how gracefully you rise above what is unworthy of your mind. Confidence speaks softly but stands firmly. It does not rattle the room with noise, nor does it demand attention to feel secure. It enters quietly, like morning light through a window, and yet it changes everything it touches. There is a steadiness to it, a grounded presence that does not need to compete to be recognized. True confidence is not found in raised voices or dramatic displays. It is found in calm conviction. The world often confuses volume with strength. It teaches that to be powerful, you must be forceful. But force is not the same as firmness. A tree with shallow roots may sway wildly in the wind, making a great show of movement, while a deeply rooted tree barely trembles. Confidence is like that rooted tree. It does not panic when challenged. It does not crumble when questioned. It stands. When you are confident, you do not feel the need to dominate every conversation. You listen, you observe. And when you speak, your words are measured and intentional. There is no rush to interrupt, no urgency to overpower. Your voice carries calm authority because it rises from clarity, not insecurity. You have nothing to prove, and that very fact becomes your proof. Standing firmly also means holding to your values when it would be easier to bend. It means saying no without apology when something does not align with your principles. It means remaining kind in a world that sometimes rewards cruelty. Firmness is not harshness, it is consistency. It is the quiet refusal to compromise who you are for temporary approval. There will be moments when others test your boundaries. They may mistake your softness for weakness. They may assume that because you are gentle, you are easily moved. But confidence does not need to shout to correct that assumption. It simply maintains its position. It repeats its truth calmly. It refuses to be pushed into reactions that contradict its character. Softness and strength are not opposites. In fact, the strongest spirits often move with the greatest gentleness. They understand that yelling does not create respect, and aggression does not guarantee influence. Instead, they cultivate composure. They allow their integrity to speak louder than intimidation ever could. When you learn to embody this kind of confidence, you stop chasing validation. You stop performing for acceptance. You become anchored in who you are, and that anchor steadies you in uncertain waters. Criticism may come, but it does not uproot you. Praise may come, but it does not inflate you. You remain balanced, and there is something undeniably powerful about a person who can disagree without hostility, who can stand alone without bitterness, who can remain composed while others unravel. That presence commands attention without demanding it. It inspires trust without insisting upon it. So let your confidence be gentle in tone, but unshakable in foundation. Let it be seen in your posture, heard in your calm replies, felt in your unwavering standards. You do not need to roar to be powerful. Sometimes the strongest stance is the one taken quietly, with steady eyes and an unmovable heart. Master your tongue, and you master your life. Words are powerful. They can build or destroy, inspire or wound, liberate or imprison. Every phrase you speak carries weight, whether you realize it or not, and the discipline to choose your words carefully is the cornerstone of confidence. When you learn to control what comes out of your mouth, you stop being a slave to impulse, emotion, or the expectations of others. You begin to steer your life with intention. Many of us underestimate the quiet force of language. A careless comment can ripple through relationships, careers, and reputations long after the moment has passed. Anger spoken too quickly can ignite conflicts that take years to resolve. Compliments withheld can wither trust and connection. And promises made recklessly can trap you in obligations you never intended. Mastery of the tongue is not about silence for its own sake. It is about choosing speech that aligns with your integrity and purpose. When you cultivate this mastery, you discover the freedom that comes from restraint. You no longer feel compelled to react to every slight, correct every misunderstanding, or defend yourself against every opinion. Your silence becomes deliberate, your words intentional, and your communication powerful. You begin to understand that influence is rarely achieved through volume or argument. Influence is achieved through clarity, respect, and precision. A well-timed word, spoken with care, can do more than 1,000 shouted responses. Mastering your tongue also teaches you patience. You learn to listen before you speak, to weigh the value of what you are about to say, and to consider its effect on others and on yourself. This patience transforms relationships, because people sense when your words are thoughtful rather than reactionary. It transforms opportunities, because decisions made with a calm and measured voice carry credibility. And it transforms your own character, because every careful choice reinforces discipline, focus, and integrity. There will be moments when the urge to speak is strong, moments of frustration, excitement, or fear. In those moments, mastery is revealed. You can pause, breathe, and choose the words that serve you rather than the words that serve your immediate impulses. That pause may feel small, but it is profound. It is a declaration that your life is not dictated by fleeting emotions, and that you are capable of shaping your path with deliberation. The mastery of the tongue is also mastery over reputation. People remember how you make them feel, how your words honor or diminish them, and how consistently you speak with intention. Life responds to those who can communicate with respect, honesty, and authority. Your career, friendships, and personal peace are all strengthened by the discipline of controlled speech. In effect, mastering what you say is mastering the trajectory of your life. And finally, when you master your tongue, you create an internal harmony between thought, intention, and action. Your words align with your values, your goals, and your truth. You no longer speak out of fear, ego, or habit. You speak because your words are purposeful, deliberate, and meaningful. That alignment is the ultimate expression of confidence. It is a quiet power that does not shout, yet it commands the life you desire. Master your tongue, and you will master the world you carry within and the life you live without.